And it is in the light of that history that every nation today should know, be he friend or foe, that the United States has both the will and the weapons.
In 1962, the world came this close to annihilation. One button press, one misunderstood signal, one paranoid general, and boom, the world becomes a radioactive wasteland faster than you can say duck and cover. But what if that button was pressed? What if, instead of back-channel negotiations and nervous pacing in the White House, we got mushroom clouds over cities? What if the Cold War turned hot, right in the middle of the 1960s? Let's set the world on fire, literally, and see what happens next. The 1960s were a weird time. Hippies, revolutions, civil rights, the Beatles, and the ever-looming threat of being vaporized at any moment. By 1962, the US and the Soviet Union had built up enough nuclear weapons to destroy the planet several times over, because once clearly wasn't enough. And right in the middle of this atomic staring contest came the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, in our timeline, it ended with tense phone calls, sweaty foreheads, and Khrushchev agreeing to haul his missiles out of Cuba in exchange for the US removing theirs from Turkey very quietly. But what if that didn't happen? What if Kennedy didn't blink? What if the Soviets refused to back down? What if the American U-2 that was shot down over Cuba triggered more than just angry letters? Let's dive into this nightmare. So, imagine this. It's October 27th, 1962, also known as Black Saturday. The US Navy is enforcing a blockade around Cuba. Soviet ships are approaching, and then a US reconnaissance plane is shot down by a Soviet missile crew in Cuba. In our timeline, JFK keeps his cool. In this timeline, he doesn't. Under pressure from the Joint Chiefs, who have been practically foaming at the mouth for a chance to go full Team America, the US responds with an airstrike on the missile sites. Soviet soldiers die. Within hours, Soviet forces in Cuba launched tactical nukes against the invading US Marines. Yes, they had them ready. Surprise! Now, the genie's out of the bottle. Washington retaliates by launching nuclear strikes on Soviet military targets in Cuba. Moscow sees the launches. They don't wait to see where they're aimed. They assume it's global nuclear war and fire back. And so, Armageddon begins. The first wave is brutal. Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago are wiped out. Moscow, Leningrad, and Kyiv, gone. London, a memory. Paris, toasted. Within just 24 hours, over 100 million people are dead. Maybe more. Radioactive ash blankets the northern hemisphere. And here's the kicker. This is only the beginning. Because the real horror isn't just the nukes. It's what comes after. Welcome to nuclear winter. The sun is blocked by soot. Crops fail. Temperatures drop by 10 degrees Celsius worldwide. Famine sets in. In the US, the federal government, or what's left of it, relocates to underground bunkers. Continuity of government? Sure. But continuity of society? Not so much. Survivors fight over canned beans. Geiger counters become family heirlooms, and radiation sickness is the new seasonal flu. In the Soviet Union, chaos reigns. The command structure collapses. Civil war, looting, and famine follow. China, untouched by the first wave, steps into the power vacuum. But even they suffer from crop failure due to global cooling. South America and Africa become refugee havens, if you can call them that. Global trade? Dead. Internet doesn't exist yet. Netflix? Still decades away, sorry. Let's fast forward a few years. What does the world look like in 1970? You have a fractured Earth made up of isolated city-states, irradiated wastelands, and small powers trying to avoid being eaten by larger ones. The UN is gone. NATO? Laughable. Warsaw Pact? Obliterated. And in this chaos, guess who thrives? Religious cults, warlords, and cockroaches. That's who. In this world, survival is everything. Ideology, democracy versus communism, those debates died in the firestorms. Now it's about clean water, untainted soil, and which ex-general has the most tanks. The Cold War didn't just get hot, it boiled over and burned the world to cinders. Let's talk really long term. Without modern infrastructure, science takes a nosedive. No moon landing, no internet, no global economy. Humanity is knocked back centuries in a matter of days. Generations grow up never knowing what electricity was. A calculator becomes ancient alien tech. Historians The few who survive piece together 20th century history from radioactive comic books and charred government memos. And here's the twist. All of it could have been avoided with one more phone call. So yeah, nuclear war? Bad idea. The 1960s were terrifying enough with tie-dye shirts and lava lamps. We didn't need mushroom clouds in the mix. But what if things had gone a little differently? What if JFK had flinched, or Khrushchev had stood his ground? What if a single submarine captain hadn't vetoed the launch of a nuclear torpedo? Yes, that actually happened. Sometimes history is shaped not by battles, but by moments of hesitation. Now I want to hear from you. What other what-if scenarios would you like us to explore? What if the Roman Empire never fell? What if the US lost the Revolutionary War? What if aliens landed in Roswell? Drop your craziest alternate history ideas in the comments below. Who knows? Your suggestion might just become our next video. Until then, stay curious and maybe keep an eye on that fallout shelter just in case.